The old inn stood nestled deep, far from city noise. Tall pine trees surrounded it, whispering secrets to the wind. A winding lane led to its door covered in soft leaves. Autumn colors painted every view with reds and golds, browns and oranges. It was a place of quiet peace, a true escape from a hurried world. The air smelled fresh of pine needles and damp earth. It promised rest. The sign read, "Whispering Pines Inn." Letters were carved in old wood, faded by sun and rain. A wide porch wrapped around the front, with rocking chairs waiting there. They invited guests to sit and watch the world go by slowly. Flowers bloomed in window boxes, even in the cool autumn air, adding spots of bright color, reds, yellows, and deep purples. This inn was a dream made real. Inside, a fire always seemed to burn, crackling softly in the main room. The room was filled with comfy chairs and shelves packed with old books. The smell of baking often drifted from the kitchen down the hall. Mrs. Gable, the owner, loved to bake. Her scones were known for miles around. Warm light spilled from every window, making the inn glow at dusk. Guests came to Whispering Pines for many reasons. Some sought a break from busy lives. Others came to heal a hurt or perhaps to find something lost. The inn welcomed them all, offering comfort without asking why. Each room was unique and cozy, with handmade quilts and soft beds. It felt like visiting a kind old friend, a place where worries could fade away like mist in the morning sun. Eleanor Vance drove down the winding lane, her hands gripping the steering wheel. She needed this escape badly. Her city life felt too loud, too demanding, too empty. She saw the sign for Whispering Pines. A small smile touched her lips. It looked just like the pictures, peaceful, inviting, a place to breathe again. She hoped it would be her sanctuary for a little while at least. She parked her modest car under a large golden maple tree. Leaves drifted down around her, dancing in the gentle breeze. Eleanor took a deep breath. The air was crisp and clean. It felt good in her lungs, different from the city smog. She had packed light, a few books, comfortable clothes, her hopes for quiet and calm. That was all she truly needed now. Eleanor was a writer, or she used to be. The words had dried up lately, like a river in a long drought. Her heart felt heavy, weighed down by unspoken things. A recent loss had shaken her, leaving her feeling adrift. She hoped the quiet countryside and the inn's gentle rhythm might help her find her way back to herself, back to her words. She walked towards the welcoming porch, her footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. The sound was oddly satisfying. Each step felt like leaving something behind, the noise, the stress, the sadness. Mrs. Gable greeted her at the door with a warm smile and kind eyes. "Welcome, dear," she said softly. "We've been expecting you." Eleanor felt a tiny seed of hope. Maybe this was right. Maybe she could heal here. Another guest was already at the inn. He had arrived a few days before. He called himself Mr. Alex Stone. He kept mostly to himself. He was tall and had thoughtful eyes, but a sadness seemed to cling to him, like the morning mist in the valleys. He chose the most secluded room at the very end of the hall. He said he needed absolute quiet for his work, he explained vaguely. Mr. Stone was, in truth, Alexander Sterling, a name known in city boardrooms, whispered by the press. He was a billionaire, young and successful. But his world had become a cage, made of gold, but a cage nonetheless. He was tired of the spotlight, tired of false friends and endless demands. He longed for something real, something simple, something true. He needed to disappear for a while. He had found Whispering Pines online. It looked like the perfect hiding place, far from flashing cameras, far from probing questions. Here he was just Alex, a man seeking peace. He read books by the fire. He took long walks in the woods. He tried to forget the weight of his name, the weight of his fortune. He watched the autumn leaves fall and wished his worries could fall too. He rarely spoke to other guests, a polite nod, a quiet hello. That was usually all. Mrs. Gable respected his privacy. She sensed he needed solitude. She just made sure his room was warm and that there was always hot coffee. Alexander appreciated her quiet care. It was a kindness he rarely found in his loud and demanding world. He hoped this place could mend him. One chilly evening, the wind howled outside. It rattled the old window panes. Inside, the fire burned brightly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Eleanor sat in a deep armchair. A book lay open in her lap, but she wasn't really reading. Her thoughts drifted with the storm. She felt a sense of lonely comfort. The inn was a warm, safe shell against the wildness of the night. Mr. Stone entered the common room. He moved quietly, as always. He was heading for the bookshelf, perhaps looking for a new escape. He didn't seem to notice Eleanor at first. He was lost in his own world. She watched him for a moment. There was a loneliness about him. It mirrored her own, in a way. She wondered what his story was. Everyone had a story. He selected a book and turned. Their eyes met for a brief second, an unexpected little spark. He gave a small, almost shy nod. Eleanor offered a tentative smile. "It's quite a storm out there," she said. Her voice was soft, just above the crackle of the fire. It seemed like a safe thing to say, simple, undemanding, just an observation shared. He paused, then nodded again. "It is," he replied. His voice was deeper than she expected, a little rough, as if not used often. "Good night for a fire, though." He gestured towards the hearth. A small silence fell between them. Not awkward, but not quite comfortable either. Just two strangers sharing a warm room on a cold and stormy night. The first thread was woven. Section 5. Morning Dew and Shared Silences. The next morning, the storm had passed. The world outside was washed clean. Dewdrops sparkled on every leaf, like tiny diamonds scattered by the dawn. Eleanor came down early for breakfast. The smell of coffee and bacon filled the air. She saw Mr. Stone already there, sitting alone at a small table. He was looking out the window at the bright, rain-freshened garden. She chose a table near his, not too close but not too far. Mrs. Gable brought her coffee. "Morning, Eleanor dear," she chirped. "Sleep well despite the wind?" Eleanor smiled. "Like a log, thank you." She glanced at Mr. Stone. He looked up, a brief acknowledgement. He seemed less guarded today. Perhaps the morning light helped, or maybe the shared words last night. They ate in a comfortable silence, the clinking of cutlery, the distant birdsong, the soft hum of the old inn. It wasn't the silence of strangers anymore. It felt different, more like the quiet understanding between two people who respected space. Eleanor found herself relaxing. The constant tension in her shoulders eased. She sipped her coffee slowly, enjoying the simple moment. As he finished, Mr. Stone stood. He paused by her table. "The garden looks lovely after the rain," he said. It was a small offering, another simple observation. "It does," Eleanor agreed, smiling. "Almost magical with all the dew," he nodded. "Enjoy your breakfast." And then he was gone, leaving Eleanor with a warmth that had nothing to do with the coffee. Later that day, Eleanor decided to explore. The woods behind the inn beckoned. A narrow path wound through the trees. Their leaves formed a golden canopy. Sunlight dappled the forest floor. She walked slowly, breathing deeply, the scent of pine and damp earth. It was a balm to her soul. She felt a part of something ancient, something peaceful and enduring. This was what she had come for. After walking for some time, she heard it, the sound of a flowing stream. She followed the gentle murmur and came to a small, clear brook. It gurgled over smooth, grey stones. Sunlight danced on its surface, and there, sitting on a fallen log, was Mr. Stone, Alex. He was sketching in a small notebook. He looked completely absorbed, at peace in the forest's embrace. He looked up as she approached. A flicker of surprise in his eyes, but no annoyance. "Hello again," Eleanor said softly, not wanting to break the woodland spell. "It seems we both had the same idea." He closed his sketchbook gently. "It's a beautiful spot," he agreed. His voice was calm, like the stream flowing beside them. He didn't seem to mind her presence. She sat on the other end of the log, a respectful distance between them. "What were you drawing?" she asked, curiosity winning over her usual reserve. He hesitated for a moment. Then he showed her the page. A delicate sketch of a fern, unfurling beside a mossy rock. "Just trying to capture the quiet," he said. Eleanor understood that perfectly. The quiet was precious here. Days turned into a week. Eleanor and Alex fell into a gentle rhythm. Morning greetings over coffee, shared walks in the crisp air, quiet evenings by the fire. They talked more now, not about their pasts, not really, but about books and nature and the simple joys of whispering pines. A bond was forming, unspoken but strong, like the roots of the old trees. One afternoon, Mrs. Gable was tidying the lounge. An old newspaper lay on a side table, left behind by a previous guest. Eleanor picked it up idly. Her gaze scanned the headlines. Then a photograph caught her eye. A man in a sharp suit, surrounded by reporters. His face was familiar, unmistakably familiar. It was Alex. Mr. Stone, but the caption read, "Billionaire, Alexander Sterling." Eleanor felt her breath catch, her heart pounded in her chest. Alexander Sterling, the famous tech mogul, the man who was supposedly Alex Stone, the quiet, thoughtful artist, who sketched ferns by the stream. It couldn't be, could it? She looked at the picture again, then she thought of Alex, his reserved manner, his need for solitude. It all started to make a painful sense. She felt a strange mix of emotions, confusion, disappointment, a little bit of anger. Had he been lying to her, to everyone? The simplicity they shared, did it mean anything to him? Or was it all just a game? A rich man's temporary escape? She put the newspaper down. Her hands were trembling slightly. The cozy warmth of the inn suddenly felt a little colder. Her trust felt fragile. Eleanor avoided Alex for the rest of the day. She needed time to think, to process this unexpected truth. Her heart felt heavy with confusion. The easy companionship they had found now seemed tainted by his secret. She ate dinner in her room, staring out at the darkening sky, wondering what she should do or say. The peace she had found felt threatened. The next morning she found him by the stream, their spot. He was not sketching, just sitting, looking at the flowing water. He seemed to sense her approach. He turned, his eyes searching hers. He saw the change in her, the new distance, the unspoken questions. "You know, don't you?" he asked quietly. It wasn't really a question. His voice was filled with a quiet resignation. Eleanor nodded. "I saw a newspaper," she said. Her voice was steady but soft. "Why didn't you tell me, Alex, or Alexander?" He looked down at his hands. "I needed to be just Alex," he said. "Not the name, not the money, just me. I wanted to see if anyone could see just me." He looked up at her then. His eyes were vulnerable. "I never meant to deceive you, Eleanor. This place and you, it became real." She listened to his words, to the honesty in his tone. She saw the loneliness he carried, a burden different from hers, but a burden still. "I came here to escape too," she admitted, "to find something real." A long silence settled. Only the stream murmured between them. Then Eleanor spoke. "Being just Alex here," she said. "I liked him very much." A small smile touched his lips. A bridge was starting to form, built on fragile, newfound trust. The revelation changed things, of course, but not in the way Eleanor had feared. The secret was out. The pretense was gone. What remained was something more honest. Alexander Alex shared more of his world, the pressures, the isolation. Eleanor shared her own struggles, her writer's block, her quiet grief. They found common ground, not in wealth or status, but in shared human experiences. Their connection deepened. It was no longer just about quiet companionship. It was about understanding, about acceptance. They walked the autumn paths, hand in hand now. The colors seemed brighter, the air sweeter. The whispering pines inn had worked its magic. It had brought two searching souls together. It had given them a space to be themselves, to find each other. Love had blossomed, quietly, like a resilient wildflower. When it was time for Alex to leave, to return to his other life, there was no sadness of an ending, but the promise of a new beginning. "This isn't goodbye," he said, holding her hands tightly. "This is where I found myself again, where I found you." Eleanor knew he was right. The city, his world, seemed less daunting now, because he wouldn't face it alone, and she wouldn't face hers alone either. Love, they discovered, wasn't about grand gestures or fairy tale settings, though the countryside had its own charm. It was about trust, about seeing the true person, beyond the masks and the money. It was about finding joy in simple things, a shared glance, a walk in the woods, a quiet conversation by a fire, in the heart of the peaceful countryside under the whispering pines. They had found love's true home, and it resided within each other.